Hello, I'm Tom Dix, and I'm going to review Vincent and the Doctor for you. And it's also my first review, so be kind. This is probably more of a appreciation thing than a review, but it's my first time. Right, so let's get started with the review. Vincent and the Doctor, I'll just give some backstory. Probably all seen it. One of the best episodes ever from the whole 50 years, I'd say. Get a bit more light in. Yeah, Vincent and the Doctor from 2010 Series 5. When it was announced that Richard Curtis was going to write it, loads of people were thinking, really, Richard Curtis co-created Mr. Bean, and he also did like Love Actually and does rom-coms. People were just like, maybe not. But superb choice, beautiful story, amazing. And it's a beautiful story because of the cinematography, all of the story, the acting, the performance of the characters. It's just wow, everything goes without fault. I can't fault this episode enough. So if you don't like Vincent and the Doctor, this probably isn't the review for you because it's just going to be a very positive review, and I can't say anything bad about it because there isn't anything bad about it for me. Vincent and the Doctor was the second episode my stepdad ever watched, and he always saw Doctor Who as for geeks and wasn't really an interesting show that he'd like. But I made him sit down and watch Vincent and the Doctor with me when it aired, and he thoroughly enjoyed it, and it got the whole of my family into Doctor Who as well. So I'll always thank Vincent and the Doctor for being the episode that got my family into loving what I love. So we have that connection. Anyway, on to the episode. We all know the Crephaeus. I'll play a bit of the Crephaeus. I'll play a bit of the episode. Drawing the Crephaeus now. Yeah, the Crephaeus. We all know the monster. You can't really say it as a monster. I'll call it a monster. He was a part of this species, and then he got blind, and they left him. His species left him on Earth, and nobody can see him apart from Vincent because of Vincent's mind and how it all works and his fantastic mind. More about that later. And but the Crephaeus, he's all alone. He has no one by him to go along with life, which in a way it's like the Doctor. If you think about it, the Doctor's all alone, and he's exactly like the Crephaeus. Although he has Amy and Rory and Clara later on, and all of these amazing friends, he is the loneliest man in the universe. So this monster sort of is. I sort of see the monster as a version, not as a version of the Doctor, but an idea, the same type of idea, how they're both alone, and it's not their fault because the monster, he wasn't really a monster because he didn't want to do anything bad. He just was alone in the universe, and you should never be alone in the universe. You should always have someone with you. That's why the Doctor's always got his companions, and hopefully I'll be one day. Matt Smith in this episode was just phenomenal. Throughout his series, he just got better and better. In 11th Hour, for example, he wasn't the Doctor until he said, "Hello, I'm the Doctor. Basically, run." That's when everybody was like, "Oh, you're the Doctor." In this episode, he proved he was the Doctor more than anybody else. Because, not saying that he is the Doctor more than anybody else, but in a way, he did what some Doctors wouldn't do. He went back in time to go and help this man who didn't believe in himself. He went back and although he didn't save him from committing suicide because that would change history, and it's a real person, so it wouldn't work. It wouldn't have been as effective. But what made his Doctor more than any other, the Doctor more than any other Doctor in this episode, is he went back and what he did to Vincent was he gave him hope, and that's what the Doctor does. the Doctor's not about saving all of these big planets and wars and all this. The Doctor's about giving hope to people. For example, in the Day of the Doctor, that's what he did. He gave hope to his people. And that's exactly what he should do. And in this episode, he gives hope to Vincent because he takes him to the future and shows him that his work is loved by everybody. And that monologue by Bill Knightley, one of the best scenes ever on any TV show, but that giving him that hope allowed Vincent to at least appreciate his work more and feel loved. Again, he won't feel alone. Vincent, again, is the Doctor and the Crephaeus, how they're both alone in the universe. Amy, I'll go on to Amy. Amy in this episode had just lost Rory in the previous episode, and she couldn't remember, but you could see the glimmer of remembering. And Karen Gillan just managed to portray the fact that she has lost someone. She knows she's lost someone, but she doesn't know what. And Karen Gillan's performance in this episode was phenomenal. One of the best out of the series, this has to be. But the fact that she's just lost someone, she can't entirely remember. But she's also wanting to give Vincent this hope, that so he knows, so he can sort of appreciate his own work and his life. But in this episode, I sort of see Amy as more than us than we'd ever want to be, than we ever could be, because she's doing something that we would want to do, like going back in time to give Vincent this hope and try and save him, but obviously it doesn't. And it makes her human, more human than ever. This is because the whole of Series 5 was a big fairy tale. The whole of the Pondia was a big fairy tale. But I find Vincent and the Doctor to be one of the most human stories throughout that era. And it allows us to see the human side to the Doctor, but also the human side to Amy. It sounds weird, but Amy, as human as she is, she's not. Not in my view, because she's this big fairy tale. She's the fairy tale princess, basically. But in this episode, she's a normal human being trying to do good. And Karen Gillan just managed to portray that so well. Another reason I love this episode is Vincent. The casting for the person who played Vincent, I'm not entirely sure who it is. I'll find that out later. But it's perfect. He looks exactly like Vincent van Gogh. Well, what we think he looks like, at least. It's just phenomenal casting. It was like, you were born to play this part. And not only does he look good for the part, his portrayal of Vincent is heart-wrenching. For instance, here, just watch this scene a minute. It's horrible. So many feels. Because throughout the episode, we've seen he's this madman. He is the madman in the box. But Vincent here, he's gone through the whole episode being mad, and then he had hope, and now you just see it's like split personality. He's just turned and he's distraught. Look. He's completely distraught. And you believe it. You thoroughly believe what he's showing us. You thoroughly believe that Vincent van Gogh was this normal man who had lost hope in the world because nobody appreciated his work, but also that he had got all of these problems. See? It's just his casting and performance without this episode was just phenomenal, because in a way you see his whole life. You see him start out and it's this normal-ish person, and then we gradually get to see he's not normal. He has got these problems, but it's realistic. And that's why I like this episode, because it's realistic. You can believe that this could happen, that this did happen, that maybe Vincent van Gogh did go forward in time and did see his own paintings, and did have that in the final few months of his life, had that hope, knowing that his work would be appreciated. Maybe it did, but it could have. You can't say it didn't. You can't say that the Doctor's not real. This is one of the most realistic episodes to ever walk Doctor Who history. The soundtrack in this episode, wow. The soundtrack in the whole of Series 5 was phenomenal, to be honest. It's one of the best. But in Vincent and the Doctor, it's along with all of the performance and the storyline of the hope, as I keep saying, the hope of him trying to get Vincent to realise that he is loved. The music portrays that as well, because you have that soft underlining score and just the high pitch, the high notes and all of that. They all work together as one to make this episode work and realistic, and I can't fault the music. I can't fault anything in this episode, which makes this episode a thoroughly enjoyable episode to watch. I love it. And Matt Smith. I love Matt Smith, my Doctor. Now to finish, because I'm not sure if this is the best review, but to finish, I'm going to go into the monologue of Bill Knightley's character. This song, the whole editing of the whole episode, the soundtrack, it's just perfect. In this performance here, it's just, this scene steals the episode and steals the whole of TV. This episode should win awards and be in this scene should be what they use to show actors how to act, because the person who plays Vincent, he does it so subtly that it's believable. For instance, here, no speech, nothing. This is acting at its most best. Just that eye, the eyes. It's all in the eyes. The idea of having Vincent go forward in time to see his own work actually be appreciated, it's heart-wrenching in the sense that he has seen it, even though he does go and kill himself a few months later. He knows that he's loved, and he'll always be loved forever. And I agree with Bill Knightley here, Bill Knightley's character. He is probably the best man to ever walk the planet. And I think that's what this episode's about. This episode's not about the monster, it's not about the Doctor. This episode is about giving somebody that hope. It's giving somebody that is that lost, like Vincent, the hope that they are loved, the realization that they're not alone in the universe. That's what this episode's about. It's giving people the time, but also making sure that people aren't alone, and those who are alone, this episode makes sure that those people who are alone are not alone. I hope this review was okay. I'm trying to keep it under 50 minutes because YouTube won't allow me to upload anything other than that. I hope it was okay. I might start doing reviews on my own channel. I don't know. But there you go. I would give Vincent and the Doctor 11 out of 10. I hope that review was alright. Hopefully I'll do some more on my own channel called Epic Who, and they'll hopefully put a link here or here or here or here. I don't know. But I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching.